session is, we're calling it the Zoom Q&A, question and answer. And the reason that we're doing this is because we here at the Lighthouse have been using Zoom a lot over the last couple of weeks. And we've been getting some questions about it because we're not the only place using Zoom. So in the last few weeks, I've seen church services go virtual, and they are using, some of them are using Zoom, some of them are using other platforms. The Lighthouse is using Zoom. A lot of schools and educational institutions are using Zoom. Also, a lot of families are using Zoom to keep in touch with each other. So the question that you might be asking yourself is, am I using Zoom, or have I ever used Zoom? And the answer to that question, the simplest answer is yes, you have used Zoom. So if you are hearing me talk to you right now and you are not listening to this from a link you got on an email or on our YouTube channel, then you have used Zoom. Because what Zoom is, it's a conferencing platform, and it operates cross-platform. So it operates on many different systems. So you can use it on a Windows computer, you can use it on a Mac computer, you can use it on a Chromebook or a smartphone or a tablet, or you can also call in to the conference like a traditional teleconference. So that's part of why Zoom has gotten so popular, because it lets you have multiple ways to join in and participate. So just to sum up, if you're hearing me now and you actually attended this meeting while it was going on and you're not listening to a recording, you have used Zoom. So a lot of people are asking, why should I have the Zoom program over calling in? So if those of you who are signed in from a smartphone or a tablet, I can tell which ones you are because I either have the name of your device or I have your name in the participants list. And for those of you who are doing that, have joined that way, you can see me right now. You can see me talking to you, and you can hear me talking to you. Those of you who called in through teleconference, who actually dialed a phone number to get in here, you're just hearing me. You're not actually seeing me. So if I just wanted to talk to you, that's fine, right? Because that's all you need is just to hear me. But if I wanted to demonstrate something, so a couple of weeks ago, the Lighthouse did a session on basic cooking and organization and money management, things like that, where we had different products that we were actually demonstrating. All of those things relied on the use of a web camera and the participants' ability to see what was on screen. Now, we know that not everybody is actually watching, they're just listening. So we're trying to be as descriptive as possible while we are giving our instruction, but not every place that uses Zoom for every event is going to be taking that into consideration, because they are usually just assuming that people are joining through the app and are getting the video feed. So at this point, what we'll do is, Maddie, I'm going to ask you to unmute everybody, and I'm just going to take any initial questions that people might have.
Okay, I'm about to unmute everyone.
All right.
Okay, everyone is unmuted, just like you wanted.
Okay. Do we have any questions on anything I've said so far?
I have a question.
Okay, what's your name, please?
Juanita.
Okay, Juanita.
So I had Zoom. I tried to do the video call at one point, and I did it, but it kept on.
It kept doing what now?
It kept on logging me, logging the Zoom out. So I was trying to log in again, but it kept on signing me out of Zoom.
Okay, so the most possible or the most probable explanation for that is the thing about these chat platforms, especially when there's video involved, is that they use a lot of bandwidth, which is an internet term. It basically just means they're very data heavy. And so if your internet connection isn't strong enough to support it, your connection maybe kept getting dropped. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
This is David, Patty's husband.
Hello, David, Patty's husband.
Are there any accessibility settings in Zoom? I didn't want to monkey around with it when we're online, but many of the icons and stuff are terribly small.
Okay, so which device do you have?
What she's coming in on is a Samsung View, one of the old 18-inch screen ones, so it's an Android.
Okay, so it's a tablet. So Android tablets, particularly Samsung, have the ability to make the font larger, and it also has, they call it the magnifier window, so you can make things on screen bigger. Now, of course, given that the screen is only so big, you don't want to magnify it too big, or you won't be able to see much of anything, and that can be just as disorienting as if things are smaller. So that answer is the most direct to your specific situation. But to answer your question more broadly, Zoom has quite a few accessibility features built in. They are very, very committed to accessibility, and it's accessible regardless of what platform you happen to be using it on. So a lot of programs, when I talk about them with people, I'm like, I can only use it on my Windows computer, or I can only use it on my iPhone, or I can only use the Chrome browser extension. But with Zoom, I can use it anywhere I want. So right now I'm sitting on my Windows laptop, but I could just as easily be giving this particular presentation to you from my iPhone, or I could go over and pick up Maddie's MacBook and give the presentation that way as well. And I would be able to do everything on every platform.
Well, right now, for example, on her platform, if she wants to bring up the mute or unmute button, you have to touch the very outline bottom of the screen.
Yes.
Okay. Or if you have us muted, there is, what did Elliot call it, a hot dog?
Oh, the microphone?
The three dots.
Oh, the hamburger.
The hamburger, okay. But these are, they don't show up well for anyone who is vision impaired.
Yeah, no, they don't. They don't, and especially when you're looking at someone's video, because what happens is the video takes the priority. So for me, because I have no vision at all, I can use Zoom with a headset, and I can use it with my screen reader and get to the buttons that way. So it doesn't really matter how big they are. And the other thing is, if you're on a more traditional computer, Zoom actually has keyboard shortcuts for muting and unmuting and looking at the participants list and sending chat messages and things like that. So I think part of it is an accessibility thing, and I think part of it is this is very new to you. And so it just sounds like you might just be having a little trouble negotiating the user interface. And you're not alone. Everybody is kind of having to learn how to do this over the last couple of weeks.
more concerned for my wife if she was doing this by herself, is what I'm getting at.
Well, so, I mean, so Patty, how much of me can you actually see right now?
You are in the, I have 4 of you.
Four of
people.
me.
Yeah,
No.
not of you, but 4 people.
Oh, I see.
Including I'm one of them.
Okay.
Okay, so there's 2 other people.
Okay.
So I can see you with your sunglasses sitting on a dark chair, and you have a bright shirt on,
Yes.
and you have sunglasses, I think, and
Yep.
a headphone.
Yes, that's right, because it's where my microphone. So you can actually see quite a bit.
Yeah.
But what I would do is you can actually sign in to a Zoom meeting without anybody there, and all the icons will show up without all this other visual noise, and you can play around with it all you want and find out what stuff does, and then when you're actually participating, then you'll have a better understanding, and you don't have to worry about hitting the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Okay. Anything else you need to know? Thank you.
Yep.
If you noticed yourself go quiet on your end, or you feel like you have it, you can't talk because you're muted, it's because sometimes there's a lot of background noise. So when I notice that, I mute you just so that it doesn't take away from the group. So I just want to let you know.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Nope.
No?
No. Nothing.
Okay. All right. So the other benefit to Zoom is what they call. Oh, you muted.
I didn't mean to, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, there we go. So the other thing that Zoom has going for it is screen sharing. And what screen sharing does is it lets people actually show participants their computer screen. So I've been doing a lot of remote training for computers over the last couple weeks, and I've been using Zoom to do it. So I will just, where did it go? There it is, share screen. And, whoops. I'm just gonna share my entire screen. And you know what? Well, here, I'll just slow it down. Okay, so I've got my entire computer screen going on, and the other thing that's coming through is my computer sound, I believe. And so as I'm moving around, here's my desktop, and I'm just moving around.
It's very quiet.
Oh, is it? You know what? That's okay. As long as, but basically everybody can see what I'm doing on my screen. And then when I've finished, okay, stop share. Okay, and now I've stopped sharing my screen. And I can also put my screen reader back to where it goes. So basically when I'm doing that, if I wanted to give a PowerPoint presentation from my house, I could do that. I could show pictures. I could show a YouTube video. I think we actually did that one last week, although I wasn't the one sharing my screen at the time. So basically, what this really does is it makes way for what they call a virtual classroom, and again, you can see it on whichever platform you happen to be on, except for the telephone dial-in, because that's just an open telephone line. So I guess what we'll do is we'll open it up again and see if anybody has any questions. I hear a puppy dog.
A lot of background noise.
Yeah, that's all right. Does anybody have any questions?
Do you have another one?
No, you notice I don't know
I don't think you won.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Then I like the bone.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay, Maddie. If nobody has any questions, we can go ahead and mute him again.
Okay, everyone is muted except you.
Yep, except me and you. Okay. So to sum up, Zoom is a video chatting platform, and it is accessible regardless of whether you're using a screen magnifier or screen reader, and you can use it on your PC or mobile device or from a web browser. And that's all and you can dial in from it. And that is kind of all I had. Maddie, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I just have a question for you.
Sure.
When we have people who are sort of trying to troubleshoot issues with Zoom, what should they do?
So what kind of issues are we trying to troubleshoot?
Well, specifically, I've had a couple people who are using tablets or iPhones
Okay.
and having trouble hearing. It's like they tell me that they have video happening on the screen, but they have no audio.
So sometimes what happens is with Zoom, when it picks up a lot of background noise, it has trouble figuring out what it should prioritize as far as sound goes. So like when I was having Maddie unmute everybody, we kept getting a lot of background noise. And the result was that sometimes when people were asking questions, they got cut off, just because the platform is having trouble keeping up with all of the input it's getting. And what I've found personally is that if I'm going to attend one of these on a smartphone, it's better to have a headset with it, so that the microphone and the speakers don't try to pick up each other, because it turns it off so it doesn't get feedback. The other thing is sometimes you have to make sure that you click, there's a button that says join audio. And if you haven't changed your settings, just because you click on the link and you in the invitation email and you open the app, the audio doesn't start right away, so you won't be getting any sound. And so you have to make sure that you click that button. But your other option is you can go into your account settings and you can tell it to always join audio when you click a meeting link to make sure that you're getting the sound.
That sounds like more the issue maybe some of my people are having that I've
Yeah, it's a common mistake, and I have made it a few times myself.
So they have to agree to Zoom accessing audio.
Yeah, so you have to make sure that you've got access to the camera and the microphone allowed, and you have to join audio, and specifically you have to join they call it audio over the internet. which is voice over the internet protocol, as opposed to dial in, because if you choose dial in, it just treats it like a regular telephone call.
Yes, I did make that mistake previously. So
yep. Yeah, it's a beginner's mistake.
And I have to say, we're probably all beginners right now. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, I've had more experience with it than some people, but I'm also learning a lot of things as I go as well. Because I have never up until the last couple of weeks actually hosted a meeting and been responsible for any of the audio input or anything like that. The other thing you can do is Zoom has a lot of help articles. So if you go to, let's see, let me find it. If you go to the Zoom website, they do have a very comprehensive FAQ section. There are also a lot of tutorials specifically for visually impaired users, because this has been, for people who are visually impaired and who have been online, this has been popular for a few years now. Most notably, there is a book by someone named Jonathan Mosen, who, it's an audio book, and he demonstrates all of the features of Zoom. Like, you can learn more than you ever wanted to know about Zoom. And right now it's a free download. Although it does take you a while to find exactly what you want there. And I typed in the wrong thing. Yep. So if you go to support.zoom.us, that has all of the frequently asked questions and troubleshooting tips and everything else that you could possibly want. And they do have a number you can call for customer support. Although I have looked at their support model, and if I will tell you that the paid accounts and the accounts for educational organizations, particularly right now, are the ones that are actually getting priority support. But they have tutorial videos and they have articles you can use, and they do have webinars and the blog. So there are all sorts of resources out there if you are trying to troubleshoot Zoom. The other thing you can do is, if you're really running into a problem, you can give us a call here at the Lighthouse. And we do offer one-on-one training on a lot of different things in the assistive technology department, including Zoom, because at this point it is an essential tool. So if you are unable to fix it, or if you're just the kind of person that's really not comfortable trying to follow instructional manuals and trying to get to things that way, you can give us a call, and we will do our best to walk you through.
Hey, Randy.
Hello, Terry. How are you?
Hi. Good. I just had a question. Maybe you could clarify for a few people, because I did have a few people ask me about it, and I'm not sure what happened. But they were saying that basically they had it asking for some kind of additional money or something, and I'm wondering if they maybe clicked on a Zoom account versus signing into a Zoom meeting.
Okay, so you have a few different options for participating in Zoom meetings. One is somebody can send you an invitation through email, which has, among other things, a link to join through the Zoom app. And when you click on it, you can just join the meeting right away. And if you do that, you'll show up as whatever the name of the device that you are joining from is. So we actually have a few in our participants right now. We have, I think there's iPhone and Galaxy View and a couple of others. And what that means is there is a person on the other end of that, but they do not have an account with Zoom. So your other option is you can create a Zoom account and you can give them your email address and create a login with a password. And then after you do that and you sign into the Zoom app, then when you sign in, it'll actually show your name, and if you provided one, a profile picture, so that people can see you regardless of whether or not you have video turned on. You can also sign in with services like Google or Facebook. I don't tend to recommend that, just because sometimes there are some privacy and data sharing concerns. However, if you are a person who has a lot of trouble remembering passwords, but you remember the password to your Google account or to your Facebook account, then you can go ahead and do that. And basically it's the same deal after you sign in, then when you join a meeting, people will know you by your actual name and not your cell phone's name. Now, that's just the free account. There is also the option to upgrade to what they call a pro account, and it does give you some additional features, but it's mostly for if you want to host a Zoom meeting. If you are just participating in one like we're doing today, then you don't need to upgrade your account. And if you've clicked on something and if you are getting that message that they want additional money from you, the best thing to do is just close the app and start over again, because it just means something has been clicked that wasn't supposed to, and now you're in a place you don't want to be. And it happens to the best of us.
Great, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that, as long as you didn't give your credit card information out, you're not going to be charged for something.
No, you won't. You actually have to give your credit card information. And even if you are set up with Apple Pay or Android Pay and you're paying through the App Store, the Google Play Store, there are 3 or 4 different confirmation dialogues that pop up that you actually have to click OK on, and they are all telling you, confirm your purchase. You will be paying X amount of dollars, to Zoom, this, all those things. So you have plenty of chances to hit the cancel button. And if for some reason you manage to get through all those and end up paying, you can call the Apple or the Google Play Store and just say, hey, I clicked it by accident. Can I get a refund? And if it's your first time making that mistake, chances are they will give it to you.
This is Dave again. The free account can not host a meeting?
It can, but it's extremely limited, so you can only host it for, I believe it's 40 minutes. And I can't remember if you can record it or not. You may only be able to record it locally. So you can do it. It's just if you're the kind of person that's going to be hosting a lot of meetings, and if you want to do it in a professional setting like we do here at the Lighthouse, then a pro account is better. But for what you're doing right now, I would say you're probably okay with a free account.
The only thing I'm thinking about is having hosting different family members in different places of the country at once.
Oh, I see. So you can You know, Zoom is not the only chatting platform. There are plenty of other ones out there. There is Google Duo, which I bring up because you have an Android tablet. For those of you using an iPhone, you have options like FaceTime. There's also Facebook Messenger and Skype and WhatsApp, and you know there are any number of possibilities. And so the key to that is just to make sure that you and the people that you want to talk to are all using the same app, and that's how you do that. And a lot of them have options to have video chat with multiple people, and most of them are free.
Thank you.
Yes.
We use FaceTime, but usually with one family, and not try to do like we have here with 4 different screen views.
So FaceTime was for a while allowing more than one video chat. I know they had to pull it, and I don't remember if they ever put it back.
FaceTime currently allows up to 32 people.
Up to 32 people? Okay. So if you're using FaceTime, up to 32 different people can video chat at the same time, and it'll look similar to this. What you have to understand is I've always used like voice over the internet chat, but video chatting is a fairly new thing for me because I am also blind, and up until now I've never had much use for it.
I was just laughing. We could use this to have a virtual barbecue so they could watch me eat the smoked ribs.
Well, that's true. You could do that.
With the family.
So I mean, if you do decide to upgrade to a pro account, then I mean that's fine. I just wanted you to understand that there are other options.
Thank you.
I think this is a really good resource to start using.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it a lot in local community events. Like there's a lot of yoga studios or theaters that are kind of streaming things on this platform.
Yes, they are. It does appear to be the one that is coming out on top right now.
As Elliot said, I wish we'd bought stock in it before we knew it.
Yeah, we end up saying that about a lot of things.
Do you want me to unmute everybody just one more time here?
Yeah, just to make sure.
Okay, I'm going to unmute everyone. If I hear lots of dogs barking or something, I will mute you again. Sorry. Okay, everybody is unmuted. If you have anything you'd like to share or questions about Zoom?
No, looks like everybody's okay.
Hey, Randy, it's Yakub here on the line.
Oh, hi, Yakub.
And, I'm not sure if you mentioned, but I also suggest for any iPhone or Android user to use WhatsApp.
I did mention it. I mean, I just sort of breezed over it. It was in my list.
And, and the only reason is because I know it's accessible and works with TalkBack and voice.
It is, and it's also tied to your phone number, so it's one less login you need to remember.
Yes.
So those are definitely some good advantages.
And I do know one feature is it also, can dictate the messages through Siri. So it's pretty neat if anyone wants to try it.
And you can also send voice messages.
Correct.
Yep.
Which, though, you have to be careful sometimes because you can intend to say one thing, but then it comes out as something else. So.
Well, yeah, that's just.
I only say that because it's happened to me, and I've been like, oh, shoot.
Yep. We've all been there. It's just one of those things.
Randy, that's WhatsApp?
Yes, it's all one word. WATSAPP.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, well, it doesn't look like anybody else has anything to add, so I realize this was a little shorter than the sessions you typically get, but thank you for listening to me. If you do decide after thinking about this for a while that this is something you want to get into and explore a little further, we are offering support and assistance for it at this time because of the current circumstance. So we're just a phone call away.
Phone call.
People call the regular Lighthouse phone number and leave a message, or
yes, and we will get it. Or if you're talking to your instructor, the one that calls you, and you say, "Hey, I wish that guy that gave the presentation on Zoom would give me a call," they will pass that message on to me as well.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Randy. Your expertise is always appreciated.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Randy.
Yep.
Thank you, Randy.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Randy and Maddie.
Yep.